Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Grace, and if you are returning, welcome back. I'm so glad that you're here. If you're new, I hope that you find this video helpful. Well, if you're returning, that too. I have dogs everywhere, so just if a dog randomly pops into view, you're welcome. Yeah. I'm not going to give much of an introduction because you probably clicked on this because you are a busy parent and you are going to fly with your children for the first time ever. I just did this a couple of weeks ago and I had so many thoughts and I have some tips for you guys. So that's what we are going to talk about today, just to give you a little bit of information. So I flew for the first time with my 10-month-old twins. We flew across the country from Idaho to Florida, where my family moved. So I actually flew with my mom. So we each had a baby. My husband was driving across the country with our car and our dogs. And so it was a full day of travel. I hope you find this helpful. If you do end up having any questions by the end, go ahead and comment down below and I will talk you through our situation. But whether you are flying with one baby, two babies, three babies, whatever, hopefully this will be helpful for you. Okay, so I'm going to talk you through the entire process from start to finish. So we're going to go all the way back to booking because I had never booked a plane ticket that included a baby. When you book a plane ticket and you're going to fly with babies, there are a couple different options. If you have a little itty bitty baby, there are some planes that actually have built-in bassinets. Planes will have like one or two of them. You have to just kind of call the airline to set that kind of a thing up because it's very limited and not all airplanes have them, and you can't book like the bassinet on like an online booking. So if you have an itty bitty baby and you're interested in that option, you just need to call the airline and just book through them. But if you are in our situation, if your child is under 2 years old, there are two different ways that they can fly. They can either be an infant on lap, where that is you buy a ticket for yourself and or your partner and your child can sit in your lap for the entire flight, or you can purchase another seat that your child would sit in, or the absolute safest option would be to bring your own car seat and you can strap the car seat in and then strap your baby in. That again is going to be the safest option because if you have turbulence or anything like that, your baby is going to be strapped in just like in a car. However, you do have to be able to afford to get a second seat for your child. In my case would be 2 extra seats. So we're balling on a budget and that was not an option for us. So we did the infant in seat. So we bought a ticket for me and for my mom and we were each to hold a baby. We had an additional passenger as well because we were bringing my cat along. So she was going to be in cabin, pet, cargo, whatever. So when you go in to book your plane ticket, if you're doing the infant on lap, that will be an option that you can put in. It's going to be in the same spot as if you have an animal that's going to be in cabin with you. There's like a little box you can tick. If for some reason you can't find that, it's okay. Just call the airline and I'm sure they can adjust your booking for you. But I would not suggest just showing up that morning of your flight and saying, oh yeah, I have an infant, because I think they have to have record of all this stuff and, you know, airlines and weight and all that kind of stuff. So you do want to have it on your ticket, but if you can't find it in the actual booking, you can just call the airline. When you are booking your ticket, just keep this in mind. So if you have multiple babies, if you're flying with one baby, this doesn't matter. If you're flying with multiple children or babies on your lap, you cannot sit directly next to someone else who is holding a baby. And it has to do with the oxygen masks. I think every area has or every section has like one extra oxygen mask that comes down, and you need to have one for each of the people. So what we did was on the first flight, my mom and I were sitting on aisle seats, but she was the row directly in front. So if my baby that she was holding was getting upset, I could kind of like look around the corner and she could see that mommy was still there. And then the next flight, we were able to sit next to each other as long as we had an aisle between us. So that was really nice because then both girls could see both of us very easily. So just keep that in mind. I mean, obviously, if you book something and it's a mess up, then like a flight attendant will help rearrange things. But if you want to be able to sit as close as possible to your partner that's also holding a baby, you just need to be either one in front of the other or have an aisle between you. I hope that makes sense. Once you have the ticket booked, the actual like going and checking in was just like anything else. Very streamlined, whatever. We did get to the airport, that's the word. We got to the airport really early. It was a domestic flight, so I know you don't have to be there insanely early, but we still got there like 2 hours early. And I'm so glad that we did, because even though it actually ended up going very smoothly, we were flying out of a very small airport, and I think that contributed to a lot. So if you are flying out of a big airport, New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Houston, whatever, get there early, okay? So checking in was fine, very easy. Then came security. So this is where I'm going to talk you through everything that happened, but, you know, everyone's experience is going to be different. So again, we got there early, small airport, so there weren't a gajillion people. And I was so nervous that we were going to have mean like TSA, that were going to be like rushing us and people looking at us with side eyes and blah, blah, blah. That could not be further from our experience. This literally was the nicest TSA experience I have ever had. Those TSA agents in the Idaho Falls airport were so nice. So what happened was, we come along, we have the cat in the carrier, and then we have these two babies, we have diaper bag, we have a double umbrella stroller, and we didn't know what to do. Like, we didn't know. So first thing was, you do the normal stuff, like take your shoes off, jackets, put it in the bins to go through the x-ray, whatever. So then what happened was, we did have to take babies and cat out of their carrier. So I handled the babies, my mom handled the cat. So I picked up my two babies, and instead of going through the like scanner where you put your hands up like that, I just walked through a metal detector with my two babies. Went fine, nothing went off. I don't actually remember who handled the stroller. I think a TSA agent just walked it through and then put it down, and I put the babies back. So the cat was a little bit more complicated, because typically with an animal in a carrier, you do have to take the animal out so they can send the carrier through the x-ray machine. But my cat is a special cat. She is a feisty little minx, and my mom was not excited about having to like take her out and hold her, because she was afraid she was going to scratch her and run off and the whole thing. So they were like, well, we can take you, my mom, and the cat into a private screening, and we can close the door, you can take the cat out, we can search it, blah, 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 blah. So that's what they ended up doing. So cat was taken care of by my mom. I was there with the babies. With the diaper bag, and I know this is a concern for many people, because you might be breastfeeding, you might be doing formula, whatever. So even though liquids are like a big no-no on carry-on, when it comes to baby food, meaning breast milk, formula, that kind of thing, you have a lot more liberty. So you can bring breast milk. I think you can bring water in bottles that, you know, then you would add formula to. We brought 4 of these. They're just little liquid formula bottles. I'll explain why we brought these. My girls are fully on formula. And we had just planned to, once we got through security, we'd either use those fountains for filling up their bottles, or we just buy water bottles. But then we also had a number of these pouches for snacks, and we had 2 of these filled with powdered formula. So I had to take all of those things out and put them in a separate bin to then go through the x-ray machine. Now, some people are weird about the x-ray machine, and they don't want their liquids and stuff going through them. So you can ask for them to just do a hand search. To be totally honest with you, I just wasn't that worried about that. Maybe I should be. I'm not super educated on why that could be bad, but I didn't really bother. So I just sent it through. But you take it out just like any other liquids. But so that went through, babies went through, it was all very, very chill. And again, the TSA agents were so nice. So then we got to our gate. I'm going to insert like photos and video throughout this video showing you kind of the visuals of what we were doing. But since we got to the airport so early and we got through security quite quickly, we had some time to kill. So about 20 minutes before boarding, I took each of the girls to go change their diapers. And yeah, we were just a motley crew with all of our babies and animals in tow and tired smiles, but here we are. This was the only thing, one of the only things that was like major bone to pick with, whatever. Every single flight, I have flown so much, you guys, so much. Every single flight I've ever been on in my life, they say early boarding for families with small children. So I was counting on that. This is literally like the only flight I've ever seen that didn't have that option. I'm sure we could have gone up to the, workers and asked to get on early, but we were just so confused because they started boarding and, they board like the first class and the star whatever people. And so I just kept expecting like the next one will probably be for small children. And then it just went to the normal groups. And so that wasn't an option for us, but whatever, we survived. Here's the next thing I want to talk about. So we used a double umbrella stroller, and those kind of strollers you can bring all the way up through the gate, and then they check them just like if you have a carry-on, but they'll check the carry-on for free, whatever, and then it's just waiting for you in the, what are those called, like breezeways? But here's a little caveat. So we booked through American Airlines, and American Airlines, which is not my favorite, but American Airlines is like the only airline that actually has a weight limit for the strollers taken to the gate. I don't think any other airline does. American Airlines, it has to be a stroller that weighs 20 pounds or less, which typically a regular umbrella stroller, not an issue, but we needed a double stroller. There are only 2 brands that make double strollers that are less than 20 pounds. So I found one on Marketplace. I think it's Jeep. I'll find the different options for double umbrella strollers. I think there's 2, and I'll link them down below for you. But I found one on Marketplace for like $15 or something like that. It was in great shape. I was very happy. So we used that. I'm so thankful that we decided on that. I brought like an Ergo Baby, like wearable soft carrier. And then my mom was using my like strap-on, like baby shelf thing. But we actually didn't end up using those very much because the girls were so happy in their stroller. And it made things much easier when it came to like getting them in and out of things just being in the stroller. So I'm glad, I guess, that we had the extra carriers, but to be honest, we would have been totally fine without them. We didn't use them much. So anyway, we got up, did a little check-in. They gave us the little tag for the stroller, and then off we go into the airplane. Now, this was where I was really worried because I didn't know how my girls were going to do. And I just heard horror stories of people being mean and making little snide comments about like, oh, I hate children on airplanes. And I came ready, y'all. I was like armed and ready with sass about to like end people. But I was pleasantly surprised. On both of our flights, people were so nice. So nice. People sitting right next to us just started up conversations talking about the little girls and blah, 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 blah. The people across the aisles from us, they were so nice. And they were just like trying to make the girls smile and laugh and things like that. And they would ask questions about them and all that kind of stuff. It was so sweet. And that was how it was on both flights. Okay, so next, why we had these was I was really worried about my girls' ears equalizing because we in Idaho were living near mountains, and whenever we'd go over like big mountain passes and I could feel my ears popping, a lot of times the girls would start crying and I could tell it was probably their ears. So I was really worried. So we all know one way to help equalize your ears is like swallowing a lot. But of course you can't tell a 10-month-old to just keep swallowing. So I had heard have a bottle ready for them and have them drink it during takeoff. So I had 4 of these. one for each girl for each takeoff. And I just had little tiny infant nipples that would go on it. And they were going to be very slow for the girls, which I also heard that is like, once your baby is older, they're going to chug things so fast. So have a slow Knurple, that's what we call them in our house. So that worked awesome. In neither of the flights did they have any issues with equalizing their ears. It was all very chill. They did really, really great on the flights. We had snacks ready. I had bought 2 new toys that they had never seen before. They were small, like small little, like poppy crinkle kind of things. They weren't loud and obnoxious, but they were brand new toys. So that kept both of them occupied, and we just switched them back and forth. I brought a couple other small toys with us, just things to keep them occupied. Obviously, you don't want them to be loud and obnoxious kind of toys, but I think people would rather hear like a crinkle from a little baby toy than, hear screaming from a baby probably. So I had a couple soft, lightweight toys for them to play with. And I mean, the girls, for me, how my babies are, and I think most babies are like this, they just love to look around. And there was so much scope for the imagination on an airplane. New faces, new people, new sounds, new smells. I didn't have any issues with the airplane being too loud. I had read that online. Some babies think it's so loud. My girls didn't seem to care. They each slept for very, very short amounts of time, but they were mostly awake. The first flight, I think, was about 3 hours long, and the second flight was like an hour and 10 minutes. They both flew by. They were so fast. I was amazed. We got up and it felt like we were like descending 5 minutes later. But it went really well, you guys. It was very chill. Once we landed that was one thing that scared. Our first flight, it landed really, really rough. I don't know why. I don't know if it was a new pilot or what. It was a rough landing, and that scared one of my girls a lot. So that was the only time they really, really cried. But I think everybody else in the plane was like, yeah, I get you, girl. That was scary. So, there wasn't a big deal. And then we had a 3-hour layover. I think it was in Dallas. So again, having that stroller was awesome because we just put him in the stroller, took our time, getting to the airport early, having a long layover. Those are like really, really key, really important. I know layovers are no fun, but when you are traveling with babies, take your time with long layovers because you have to find elevators, finding places that you're going to be able to eat, all that. It's just going to take longer. Changing diapers, all that kind of stuff. So we did that. We had dinner in the airport. I think we changed their clothes because I had like 2 extra outfits for each of them. And so we changed their clothes, which was actually really, really great because they just had drooled so much. And, just grimy airport stuff. So we did that. We were able to get to our gate early, chill out, rest. Yeah, it was great. And then the second flight for us was very short, very sweet. I've heard tips about try to get your flight right at their nap time. And I'm sure that works for some people. I don't think it wasn't really an option for us because the airport we flew out of was so small. It was a very limited amount of flights going out. But then on top of that, my girls were just so fascinated by everything that they were looking at. So I don't think they would have really napped anyway. But I do think it's a good idea to have something for your young children to drink on takeoffs. The landing just really didn't seem to bother them at all. And then having lots of little snacks and little toys for distractions. But having an umbrella stroller is really, really helpful. I don't think it has to be an umbrella stroller. It just, for us, we had to have something under 20 pounds. And for a double stroller, that was the only option. But I was really, really happy with that. I think that's pretty much all that I wanted to say. Again, it went really well. It went very well. But I do last thing I want to just say is that you and your children or child have just as much right to be on an airplane and be flying from one place to another as anybody else. So I hope you have an experience like mine where people are so nice and just love on your babies. But if you don't and you experience any crap or animosity or attitude or whatever from anybody else, just stand up for yourself, because those people are sad. They're sad. And they're poopies. So just, yeah. I didn't want any like attitude from people, but I was ready. I was so ready. Okay, I'm getting heated. I've just heard such bad stories. But take it from me, I had a great experience. So it's not all bad. You probably have heard horror stories, which is why you clicked on this video, but it can be very chill. So I hope that you have an amazing experience flying. Let me know how it goes. If you guys have any of your own tips, share it with the classroom, because we're all learning. So I hope that you have a great rest of your day. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, I would love it if you would consider subscribing. Come back. We have more tips, tricks, lifestyle, house hunting, all this stuff. Oh gosh, you guys, I have so much planned. All right, I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.